I have a confession to make. It took us collecting over $1.2 million in cash in our video agency, investing hundreds of thousands of dollars in mentorships, marketing, resources for our own companies, coaching thousands of videographers with our paid material, and hundreds of videographers and video business owners, agency owners, one-on-one, diving deep into their business, and 5 years into this game in order to learn everything that we've learned so that way we can compile all of our results and all of our experiences and duplicate that this year in 2025 within a 12-month period. And it's all those trials, tribulations, investments, and resources that I'm hoping to save you inside of this video because you chose to watch this. So what we're going to talk about is the Milliographer Model, which is the revolutionary path to 7 figures for a video business owner. Now, there's going to be a couple things that we're going to talk about in this video. 5 key points, actually, to be fully transparent. And the first one that we're going to talk about is the difference between the old model, or really the current model, because people are still pushing this, and the new model, which even though we have a small group of video business owners, including ourselves, that are doing this today, this is still a new model, and I believe a majority of the market won't actually even catch up until later this year in 2025. So everybody who takes advantage of this new model starting now in January at the beginning, or however soon you can start it, you will be able to reap the rewards for that. So let's go ahead and discuss the differences. Now, there's this famous business proverb that I didn't make up, but I'm very sure that you heard of it before, which says, when everybody goes left, we want to go right, right? So when everybody goes left, we want to go right. So let's talk about what left is. And left is videographer A. And by the way, if you've been videographer A, if you're currently videographer A, just know that it's not your fault, right? Like, this is literally what the rest of the market and what everybody in communities, we're part of so many communities, we own a couple ourselves. It's what so many people are pushing. So if this is you, this is not your fault, but we at least have to be able to read the room and see what's going on. So videographer A follows essentially this model, this roadmap. Let me know if any of these sounds familiar to you before. The first one is to only sell high ticket. Now, I have nothing wrong against selling high ticket. I think selling high ticket is absolutely amazing. But when you only sell high ticket and when you are trying to compete in the world of high ticket, right now there's this kind of unspoken competition where a lot of creatives are trying to sell the biggest deals for the littlest amount of work. And, you know, I think in business and in profits, there is a little bit of a place for that. But, you know, the entire market as a whole is really kind of going after that. Not a big fan, but that is something that happens. The other part of videographer A, or this old model, is that they only sell retainers. Let me know if you've heard of that before, right? Like, only sell retainers. The best way to only have a video business is to only sell retainers. If a client doesn't want to do a retainer, then you don't work with them, right? Another part of videographer A is one offer. So create only one offer, make one big offer, and go after and try to get everybody into that offer, right? Create one grand slam offer, one phenomenal offer, and just try to push that into the marketplace and only sell that. Another part of the old model is also when people talk about one funnel, for example, one marketing strategy, right? Only focus on one thing the entire time and grow that to $1 million a year. So that's another one. One of the famous ones that's going on right now is definitely the social funnel, right? And that kind of goes into the next point, which is running ads, right? Like, the best way to get clients, I know I misspelled this, running. The best way to get clients is to run ads, right? Run ads for social media, and that's the only way to do it. Another thing that they talk about as well is only working with one avatar, right? Like, pick a niche and only work with that niche. Let me know if any of these sound familiar. That's kind of something that's been going around a lot. I know a lot that's going around as well is this whole, like, steal my package thing. You probably see a lot of, you know, people in the video space or in the creative space, and they're like, I just closed this one deal this one time, and here are my deliverables for this big brand. Now you go and try to sell it to mom and pop shops. That's kind of a recipe for disaster. But this whole, like, steal my package, where, again, a lot of creatives, I'm not saying you're doing this, but a lot of creatives try to sell the most amount of dollars for the least amount of work, right? Like, $10,000 deal, handful of videos, And even though there's some companies that can do that, it's not a great deal for a majority of people. So that's some of the videographer A tendencies, or the current model that is being thrown out. The other one here is also always jump on calls. Like, only close deals by jumping on sales calls, right? Like, if somebody's interested, yeah, let's get on the call. Somebody's interested, yeah, let's get on the call. Whatever it is, always jump on sales calls, and not being able to have any deals without jumping on sales calls. Something else that people are going after is like, sell the strategy, right? One word that oftentimes is attached with videographers is strategist, right? Like a video strategist. And as awesome as that name sounds, and as awesome as I think it makes a lot of us video creators feel, clients and the marketplace have absolutely no idea what that means. And it really honestly doesn't mean anything to them either, because there's a different thing in our business that they're actually looking for. So these are some of the videographer A tendencies, the current model that is being pushed, and what is, to be super transparent, what is also honest about this is that to a certain extent, this does work, right? This does work. You can make this work. You can make anything work. You can make this work. But it'll only work until it doesn't anymore, or it'll work until, as I've seen with multiple agency owners, until the agency owner themselves breaks, until the agency owner themselves just can't do it anymore. They can't handle anymore. They can't take anymore. And that's just a recipe for disaster. So that is what is left right now. And even in 2025, as I'm making this video, this is still being pushed. This is a model that is still being pushed. And that's okay. People can try to make that work until it doesn't anymore. But the whole market as a whole is moving away from this into what is videographer B. And videographer B, we're going to go into more details about this, but what this really means is, number one, it's the new way, okay? Again, this is the old model that we're talking about with videographer A, with videographer B. They're doing things the new way. So some of these things are just not heard of. Some of these things may sound a little counterintuitive, or even some parts of this business model have been demonized, but it's very interesting how much better this model works for creatives who are looking to have freedom and actually grow a business that they enjoy. With videographer B, or with this new way, this new model, it's actually the simplest, most profitable, and fun way to get to $20,000 per month. And unlike most other models where you just need to like hire more people, do more sales, do more marketing, do more of everything, this is a model that just by pulling a few levers, you can actually get to $20,000 per week without having to, grind 60, 70-hour weeks. You can actually run this model and still just work a full-time hours, 40 hours per week. And that's the path that we're going on this year. So videographer B, this new model, you can go to $20,000 per month, all the way up to $20,000 per week by just implementing a few levers. And the whole 20K per week is just under $1 million a year. Videographer B also, this might sound kind of counterintuitive, but actually they have multiple offers. We're going to get a little bit deeper into that here in this video. You guys are going to like that. They have multiple offers. I know this sounds counterintuitive, but they actually have multiple funnels. And you will have to forgive my handwriting here. I want to make sure that we actually build this out together, and we're going through this together. But I'll share as well is videographer B, they don't need ads, right? Everybody is pushing to do ads. Everybody's saying that you got to do more ads, spend more money on ads. There's actually a way that you can grow this business without needing to run ads. This one might be a shocker for more people. You don't even need sales calls. Now, there is a place for any business model to take calls, but with this one, you don't even need sales calls. What, Rob? I can build $1 million business and I don't have to be on sales calls? Exactly. It's been done. Not in our video space, but it's been done, and I'm excited to go over some of that with you as well. And again, my favorite part about this whole thing is that when you run this model and you do it properly, you can accomplish all of this by working less than 40 hours per week. That's the goal in order for this. It's not to grind your way to $30,000 months, $40,000 months by working 60, 70, 80 hours. I've done this. My brother's done this. We have people who we know who've done this, students who've done this, and I can share with you that when you just keep getting up to that level, it is a recipe for disaster. More money, more problems, until this new model. So that's the difference between videographer A and videographer B. And again, when everybody goes left, we want to go right. Now, let's talk about more of this new way. How do you get to $20,000 per month? How do you have multiple offers, multiple funnels? How can you do this without necessarily having to run ads? And how can you do this without sales calls? How can you do this while working less than 40 hours per week? So we're going to talk about first is the offers and in our world, in the video space, aka packages, right? This is something that I see all the time video creatives struggle with, which is like, what packages should I sell? How expensive should I make them? Should I sell retainers? Should I not sell retainers? Hopefully this will be able to answer some stuff for you. So the first thing I'll share, guys, is that this lesson right here, this graphic, this visual that we're about to share with you, we had already collected over $1 million in our agency, of course, like throughout its lifespan, and already invested hundreds of thousands of dollars in, again, mentorships, marketing, hiring other people to help us, done for you agencies to help us with different systems and different things in our business before we finally learned this. And once we learned this, it was a complete game changer that we couldn't unsee it. And so that's why I want to start off with this one for you right now so you can get as much value at the beginning of this video and have the glass shatter so that way you know exactly what I'm talking about here. So when it comes to any niche or market, and also to share with you guys data-wise, we've tested this out with hundreds of thousands of contacts. So from all of our businesses, we've taken a look and audited all of our companies, all of our clients, all of our data points, as well as client data points, as well as peer and mentor data points. So we've been able to compile data from hundreds of thousands of resources, hundreds of thousands of contacts to prove this principle that will help you come up with better packages and understand. And what this is this is called the buyer ladder, or you can also call it market dynamics. And there will be multiple words for this. We didn't come up with this, but once we did the math and were able to do the study, we actually saw that this holds very true. And essentially, this pyramid here that you see is a compilation of an entire market, right? An entire market or an entire pool of buyers. And the market dynamics / buyer ladder states as the following: that across all niches, plus or minus a few percentages, but the numbers I'm about to put here are like the legit percentages that we've seen that kind of goes across all niches, is that for all niches, you have the top 1% of the niche. Then below that is the 4%. Below that is the 25%. And then below that is the 70% of the niche. Okay, so this is an entire niche. Doesn't matter if you're going after chiropractors, doctors, dentists, coaches, consultants, course creators, real estate agents, lawyers, home service providers, any really like niche, especially in the business to business space, insurance brokers. Most of the people that watch these type of videos as well, they want to get into that space, right? You create social media for these companies, things like that. It follows into this structure, and here's what this states. The 70% of the market that here at the bottom, not only are they in certain like awareness stages, but they actually tend to have, and this is the data part, the tested part, certain amounts of money that they invest to get into the next stage. And so you take any niche, and essentially it states that the bottom 70% of the market normally invests between $0 to $100 per year to solve a problem, or also one time. And these are the beginner people in all niche and all markets. And so a funny thing that we hear all the time is like real estate agents, for example, right? Real estate is a niche that I've personally met and have coached and worked with multiple agency owners that are making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year just off of the real estate niche alone. Being able to close what we call grand slam deals, 6,000 plus per month deals with real estate agents. But there's also the other side of, video business owners and videographers, media company owners, that they say real estate agents are the worst to work with. Well, it's because they're actually working with the bottom percentage of the market. And this is the same for any niche that you go after. There's always new businesses that they just don't have that budget, right? Then once you move up market, you go to the 25% of the market, and this side of the market is normally willing to invest anywhere between $500 to $5,000 per year. This is where they moved up. This is now when people actually start having a bit of a marketing budget, right? They can spend $500 for a whole year. That's just about $6,000. Maybe they're the type of people that will invest one time with you for $2,000, a $2,000 video, a $2,000 package, a $5,000 brand message video, a $3,000 micro content package, right? This is the 25% of the market. This is where a majority of the sales are made in our industry because people are, this is like the stage where people are willing to invest, right? Now, they still don't have the big budgets to do crazy retainers, but there's a lot of money sitting here in this 25%. Then you move up market to the top 4% of any niche market industry. And these professionals, the people in this segment, are normally willing to invest, and again, this is across our data points, between $1,000 to $3,000 per month across the entire year. So this is what those, $12,000 to $36,000 budgets that companies have, because they break it up into $1,000 to $3,000 per month. And this is actually where a majority of the retainers sit at as well. What we've seen across our data points, including our clients, a majority of our retainer clients have been kind of within this price point, and as well as we've seen it across the market, regardless of industry, whether it's real estate agent, coach, consultant, course creator, agency owner, doctor, dentist, chiropractor. This is where a majority of the retainers sit at. And then you have the top 1% of the market. And the top 1% of the market are the clients that are normally willing to invest $4,000, $5,000, $10,000 per month. These are the, almost all the way up to six-figure per year marketing budget for services like you and I offer, right? So for video services, marketing services, anything above this, what we've realized is that they go into a completely different market, like people who take percentages and things like that, or even they start building internal teams. Once somebody has like a six-figure budget for videos and things like that, do you think that they're going to keep hiring agencies, or are they going to start building their own content team? They start building their own content team. So we don't even count that, because amongst what you and I can sell for people who want to hire us and we want to continue keeping our own companies and not work under somebody else, then this is essentially what the niche, the market dynamics, the buyer ladder looks like. Now, if you've ever had a $10,000 package and you present it to a client and the client says, oh, that's just too much for me, there's probably nothing wrong with your package and there's probably nothing wrong with your client. It's just that you chose to make a 1% offer or a 4% offer to a 25% client or a 70% client. I want you to think about that, right? Think about the presentations that you've had where you've made a big proposal or a big package, and you have that sticker shock or that gasp, right? It's usually not that there's something wrong with your offer, and there's nothing wrong with your client as well. It's just not a good match, right? They're down here, you're up here in terms of your pricing, and you're trying to get people who are down here to pay you up here. Obviously, as you can see, that's not a recipe for success. Now, everybody is trying to go after these top clients. You're probably looking at this and you're like, well, Rob, I only want to work with the top 1% people. I only want to work with the top 4% people. I understand. You and every other video creative as well. So let me ask you guys something, right? If the entire market only sell high ticket, only sell retainers, right? We talked about videographer B going left. If they're all going to the 4% of the market and they're all aiming for the top 1% of the market, let me ask you a question. Do you think that side of the industry, for people like you and me, becomes more competitive or less competitive? The answer is it's more competitive. If everybody, as video creatives, as video agency owners, and by the way, other types of adjacent services, so people who do SEO, people who do paid ads, people who do email, people who do all that stuff, and they charge similar pricing as us, they're all going towards the top 1% and 4%. And so if everybody's going to the top 1% and 4%, it becomes more competitive. Now, let me ask you guys, when there's a market or industry that is extremely competitive, do you think it becomes more expensive to compete or less expensive to compete? The answer is it's more expensive to compete. And so this is why if you want to immediately have access to the top 1% or 4% of people, what it takes is resources. Tons of resources, because you have to invest in order to have access to these people, whether it's masterminds, events, things like that. You have to invest tons of money into marketing, right? So whether you got to run a bunch of ads or hire a bunch of people or hire agencies to do stuff for you. And again, it can work until it doesn't. Usually a lot of these high ticket businesses are built on a house of cards, meaning like it has to be a revolving door of a ton of cash every single month in order to keep the whole machine moving. And as part of my confession, we have been a part of that as well. We know exactly what that's like, right? Every single month, you have thousands coming out for appointment setters, thousands coming out in commissions, you have thousands coming out for running ads and for other service providers that are writing your emails and doing cool other types of marketing and all this type of stuff. It requires resources. Not only that, it requires resources in skill. How is it that you're able to afford or do all these things? You got to pay the money for it as well. So if you're going towards this side of the market, you got to be the best salesperson. You got to be the best marketer in your industry. You got to be the best amongst your industry. And what does it take to be amongst the best? It takes training. It takes time. It takes resources. It takes a lot. So this is why this is the most competitive side of the market. It requires the most amount of resources, and that is why everybody going towards this it's a movement that will die. It's a movement that will not last forever. Now let's take a look a little bit below, right? Take a look at the 25%. I'm going to use a different color here. Let's use green. Let me ask you guys a question. If you start here and you aim for the 25% of the market, do you think when everybody's going for the top 1% and 4%, that this 25% is more competitive or less competitive? The answer is it's less competitive because not as many people are going after this side of the market. Now, when a certain industry or market is less competitive, do you think it becomes more expensive to compete or less expensive to compete? You got it. The answer is less expensive to compete. So in order to target this side of the market for any niche, again, doesn't matter if it's chiropractors, doctors, dentists, lawyers, real estate agents, coaches, consultants, course creators, home-based services. When you target this side of the market, it's less competitive and less resources in order to compete. And it requires less everything, less marketing, less sales, all of these things. So what we do actually is we aim towards this side of the market. And even if you just stay in this side of the market, in of itself, you can build $1 million business because this side of the market, guys, is it a little bit bigger than 4% and 5%, or is it quite a bit bigger? It's 5 times bigger than both of those markets combined. So there's tons of opportunity, tons of space, and people are not going after this side of the market. Now, if you choose to, when you do this with tact and you do this with skill, you can actually tap into these sides of the market by actually creating your own. So everybody wants to go towards the people that already have money, but if you go towards these people right here that have some money as well, they don't have the crazy big budgets, but you can actually help them grow their businesses, right? Because you and I are here because we both know video and content helps grow businesses. If they start down here and through your services, they move up to the top 4%, and now their budget opens up. Let me ask you a question. Do you think that they're going to find a brand new service provider, brand new video business owner, a brand new videographer to help make their content, or are they potentially going to open up that budget to you, the business owner, entrepreneur who helped them get there? You got it right. It's the one that has the relationship, the one that helped get there. And then once they succeed here and then they move up to the top 1%, who do you think they're going to go after? Do you think they're going to use the same person who helped them get there and has been working with them for a long time and they already have that trust and relationship? Or are they going to go find a brand new service provider that they've never worked with before? Yeah, you got it. They're going to go with the person who helped them get there. And so not only can you tap into this side of the market still using this business model, but you actually create your own with less competition. And I'll give you guys a secret as well. You end up making more money per client throughout the entire year. That's right. Your LTV actually gets bigger, your lifetime value for the client, when you have multiple offers in different segments because they actually started working with you down here. Then once their budget opens up, now they pay you this much. And then once their budget opens up, now they pay you this much. And throughout the entire year, you were collecting for that entire, I'm going to use this thing right here. You were collecting for this entire segment of the market. Does this make sense, guys? So what a videographer be, or somebody who's running the Milliographer model, is that they actually pick a niche or pick a certain industry, and then they have, I'm going to use the color purple, they have an offer for this side of the market, they have an offer for this side of the market, they have an offer for this side of the market, and yes, they have an offer for this side of the market as well. And so it's the entire store, the entire pyramid here that allows you to make $1 million a year. Instead of trying to make $1 million a year with this offer and trying to shove everybody in this offer, because as you see, this is only 4% of the market. So you're essentially saying no to this side of the market, you're saying no to this side of the market, you're saying no to this side of the market. All right, hopefully you guys learned something there. So that's the offers, aka packages. And so you just want to have packages at these price points in order to help people ascend to the next level. Now let's talk about marketing and lead gen. So one of the old ways, the old model is to just have one funnel, one thing, and just try to focus on that. Now, even though that can work and there is some truth to that, we found that across trying different types of marketing, different types of lead generation strategies, we found that when you combine certain lead gen strategies together, they actually work better than if you were only doing one or the other. They actually work better than if you were doing one or the other. And so what that led us to find out is that if you actually try out all these different funnels and marketing strategies in stages, meaning you get this one up to a certain KPI, then you move on to this one, you get it to a certain KPI, then you move on to this one, you get it to a certain KPI, your marketing only gets better and better every single month. Your results compound. You're always still collecting cash. You're always still doing what works while you still have a side of things that you're trying out something new. That's kind of like the magic blend, instead of like, let me try this thing, it doesn't work. Then I try this thing and it doesn't work. Then I try this thing and it doesn't work. So I'll share with you guys essentially the funnel structure that we use and the one that we're going to scale up this year in 2025 in order to hit 7 figures. So the first one that we start with is what we'll call the content plus convo funnel. And really what this is, guys, is it's a DM funnel, right? Essentially, you create content and you get conversations. You try to get people to DM you, or you DM people as well. This is such a strong foundation. It's been a key pillar of everything that we've talked about ever since we started our business back in 2019, and since we started teaching some of our strategies back in 2021, 2022. So content and conversation funnel, where you use your own work, your own grind, and you are able to reach out to your dream clients, reach out to people in your industry, and be able to close clients. So once you get this up to KPI, and for most people, it's about the same numbers that everybody tries to hit, but we have certain KPIs that we hit. We'll talk a little bit more about that later, but I'll share with you guys essentially what we try to do is get up to $4,000 per month in new revenue using the content and convo funnel, meaning can you get an extra 4K of clients every single month, new 4K, using this funnel? And there's a reason why we use that number. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. Then once you get your DM funnel system, your content and conversation, where you're sending enough messages and you're creating enough content in order to generate new business every single month, $4,000, we introduce what we call email stage 1. Now, email stage 1, a lot of people talk about email marketing, but email stage 1 is essentially what we're doing is we're just trying to collect emails from our DM list, meaning our DM CRM in theory should actually be bigger than our email list, right? But our email list are the people who like our stuff the most, they engage with our stuff the most, and they're willing to sign up for free for some of our resources and templates and things like that in order to help grow their business. Now, the reason why email is the next stage is just because it helps you reach out and blast more times to the same people that you already know or the same people that you already have. So it's essentially kind of just recouping and continuing to re-engage people who are already in your world. Because if there's one thing that anybody can install to make more sales, regardless of where they're at, is more follow-up. And so with email, essentially, you're reaching out more to those same people, And then when we test this out, you normally are able to get an extra increase of 10% to 30% of whatever metric you're looking for, whether it's opt-ins, leads, registrations, or even clients or revenue, an extra 10% to 30% when you just start adding email into it, where you're just re-engaging your people, the people who already know you, the people who you've already been talking to get this going here. So that's email stage 1. Now the very next thing that we do here is what we call content and convo, or the DM funnel stage 2. Now stage 2 essentially just means you replicate stage 1 results on a new platform. So for example, Facebook is my favorite platform, where, you know, I have my content and convo funnel, my DM funnel. But then stage 2 would be like using LinkedIn, right? Or if Instagram is your favorite one, where you just create a lot of content and a lot of messages, then maybe moving to Facebook or LinkedIn or like X/Twitter or any of these other platforms, TikTok, whatever it is. But essentially you just duplicate your results across another platform, because it's something that you already know how to do. You already know how to create content. You already know how to have conversations, and you already got good enough to where you're making an extra 4K per month every single month. And so now you're just able to duplicate that. Now, when you duplicate that, what's going to happen is you just keep collecting the same you keep collecting emails the same way once you're in stage 2. And so then this is going to continue growing as well. So you're not only sending DMs, you are having conversations, you are creating content, but you're also re-engaging those people via email. And so this whole thing is working better. Meaning if you only did email, let's just say you got 10 points. If you only did content and combo, let's just say you got 10 points. When you put them together, instead of 20 points, they perform like if it was 25 or 30 points. That's what we have found. That's what we've tested. When you do more than one marketing funnel together and they're done properly, they work better than they were individually. And that's why we do it at stages. Then, once you are done here with duplicating it, then what we get into is email optimization. Meaning, can you get your welcome sequences, right? So as soon as somebody opts in, like, you should be able to send them a certain amount of emails. Can you get your drips, right? Like, you just put them in a drip and they start getting there. And then your more consistent blasts, can you get all of these things to spit out more money? So while you're keeping your DMs and your conversations and all these things running, and while you're collecting emails, you keep your DM funnel, your content combo funnel to run the same KPIs, but now you're trying to optimize your email, your welcome sequences, your drips, and your blast in order to see if you can generate more revenue from that. And the reason you do that is because you need to optimize the base. You need to optimize the foundation before you introduce something like paid ads. Because once you introduce into paid ads, then you can up the volume, because you start collecting emails with paid ads, but you already know that this converts. I'm not gonna highlight that. I'm gonna use this right here. You already know that this converts. I've done the opposite, guys. We've done the opposite, where we started running ads while we were sending DMs, and we're collecting a bunch of emails, collected hundreds, thousands of emails, but we weren't emailing them. Our sequences weren't that great. Our drips weren't that great. Our blasts weren't that great. And so we were just spending money on ads, collecting information, and we weren't even reaching out to them. And so that is why, and we did that for thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. But because we were making enough money in different things, and clients kept staying and all this stuff, the numbers just ended up working out. We were able to afford to continue to do that, but that doesn't mean that that was the right thing to do or that we're going to continue doing that. And so these are the different stages for marketing, for lead generation, for engaging, to where you start off with your content and conversations, or your DM funnel, and this is like organic outreach. You then start collecting, you get it up to $4,000 per month. We'll talk about why that number in a sec. You then start collecting emails. So that way you can reach out to those same people in your world who already know you more often, more times. With the click of one button, you can email a bunch of people at the same time. And normally we want to get this to where you start making an extra 10% to 30% in cash collection, or in opt-ins or registrations, or whatever number you're looking to do. The other reason where you want to collect emails is you can push traffic to videos. If you have a certain video that you want to perform better, if you emailed your list about it so that they can check it out, what are the chances they're going to check it out? Okay? Then, while we're doing this is working, we duplicate more of what's working with stage 2. So now we do all that stuff that's been great on one platform, we move it onto another platform. Then we start optimizing our emails, so our welcome sequences, our drips, our blasts. We get this thing to start performing better and better and better to the point where we know that this now converts. And if we spend money on ads, that we will be able to monetize because of everything that's on the back end. Guys, it took us tens of thousands of dollars invested in ads to learn this, hundreds of thousands in other agencies, doing things for us, investments in learning, mentorships, masterminds, coaches, consultants, all of these things. And that is why in 2025, this is the order that we're doing it in. Okay, we got that going. Now, let's talk about the sales methods, okay? How are you going to be able to actually get to $1 million in a year using this strategy, using the Milliographer model? So when it comes to the Milliographer model, the 7-figure model, there's actually 3 ways that we convert, I'm starting to get sloppy, convert leads into opportunity, right? You start converting the leads into opportunity. And the way you do that is opportunity is literally the opportunity for sales. And so there's 3 main ways that we're actually going to close deals, okay? The first one is my absolute favorite, which is used these terms before. You have heard me maybe create some content about this. And a little insight on this is back in 2024, we had something kind of challenging happening, something really horrible. Essentially, in short, we had a merchant account with over $20,000 cash in it completely close on us right the day before we had to do payroll, the day before we had to pay rent, the day before we had to do all kinds of things, right? So we literally collected $20,000 from clients and from all these things. And we had to pay commissions, we had to pay salaries for teams, we had to pay ourselves, rent, all these other things. And the merchant decided to just hold that money, and we thought it was completely gone. Fast forward 6-7 months later, they actually finally gave it back to us, which was nice. Glory be to God, but it was a tough time. And what that forced us to do was to create a system where we didn't have the time to just jump on a bunch of calls again and start doing that all over again, is to start actually closing deals in the DMs. How do you close deals in the DMs? And what this means is collect cash, meaning you have payment links paid without sales calls. Okay? Collect cash without sales calls. In short, the undercover funnel is a 3-step process where, number 1, we send something that's called an intrigue DM. And what an intrigue DM does is it re-engages a prospect, and essentially we ask permission to present to them something new. We ask permission to present to them something new. After we do that, we send them what's called an SSA, which is a system selling asset. And so a system selling asset is essentially it could be a resource, a document, a video, something that sells the thing that you want to sell without selling the thing you want to sell. So it sells the system, it sells the package, it sells the offer without actually telling them, work with me, without actually giving the price, without actually saying, this is what happens when you work with me, etc., 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 right? And then after we get a positive response from that, then we actually send an offer. And the offer has everything from pricing, it has terms, it has all that type of stuff, right? And then after we get a positive response from this, then people can actually pay via payment link, or they can do this. And that's literally the system we use to actually collect cash. And we started this back in 2024 in February. And we ended up continuing developing that system to where we finally started teaching it to people towards the end of last year. And we personally closed over 100 deals in 2024 without sales calls using this system. And then the part that I'm most proud to share with you guys is the last 3 months of 2024 is when we taught it to a small group of other video business owners, so selling video agency services. And they combined actually closed over 100 deals as well in those 3 months, and how long it took us to close 100 deals, me and my brother, across a year. So This system works. It's still very new, and most people in the video agency world are not using it. But this is my favorite. Personally, my favorite client acquisition system is the undercover funnel system. Now, that's one of the ways that you can have a sales method to close. The next one is an actual call, right? And you're like, well, Rob, you just told me that you don't like doing calls. You're right. I don't like doing calls. And in fact, I don't do calls. I've actually eliminated sales calls from my calendar for the last 4 months now. Even though we started messing with the DM system at the beginning of 2024, the last 4 or 5 months of 2024 and the beginning of 2025 here in January, I actually completely eliminated sales calls, yet we are still closing deals pretty much every single week. The calls that I'm talking about here are, in short, they are upsell calls, but they are with previously paying clients or with a brand new client who you got on the undercover funnel system. And so these are really good for front-end offers. You can still close 4-figure deals without sales calls. But then me personally, I've adopted the model where I only get on a call with somebody after they've already paid something. That's what happens when you fully install the undercover funnel model, is you can still get on calls and you can still sell high ticket things. So we still sell $6,000 per month offers, $2,000, $3,000 per month offers. But we sell it to people who we've already worked with before. So you're not wasting your time on strangers, right? There's a whole nother reason why I also eliminated sales calls with brand new strangers from my calendar, but we might talk more about that later. This video is taking me a little bit longer than I actually thought, but I really want to go over all these things with you guys. And then last but certainly not least, and it's something that we're going to do even more in 2025, is what we call one-to-many presentations. Now, one-to-many presentations are amazing because we've personally sold anywhere between $500 to you could say up to like 4K packages paid in full. You can do payment plans if you like, but paid in full using one-to-many presentations. So how does this look like? Well, for people like you and me in the video agency world, this looks like, number one, hosting our own webinars. This looks like hosting our own trainings. This looks like doing guest trainings. So when I first started experiencing this, my goal is to do even more of these in 2025. But back in 2022, I believe I did my very first guest training in somebody else's space. I met a coach consultant who worked with other real estate agents, and so they were a digital consultant, and I met him actually at an event. And his audience was filled with real estate agents. He didn't create content. He just helped them run ads. And so he asked me, he's like, hey, Rob, can you do a training for my entire clientele and teach them about creating content and all that stuff? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. So I did it virtually, and it was absolutely awesome, guys. A year later, from that presentation, I was still getting DMs from people who just kept watching that saying, hey, Rob, I just saw your training from, his name was Cody, the guy who invited me. I just saw your training from Cody's group, and I'm interested in this package, or I'm interested in this help, or I'm interested in this freebie. I would just continuously have people come send me messages and things like that. Guest trainings. Another one is in-person trainings. So you can do things like host, like if you like working with local businesses, right? One of the things that we do in our agency is work with remote clients a lot. I love working with remote clients. 97% of our clientele is remote. But if you want to do in-person things, you can do in-person things as well. So you can host an in-person training. If you work in the real estate industry, for example, this is one that I did a ton, is you can do presentations in front of other brokerages, right? So like you can be brought on to an entire company and you can do a presentation for the entire brokerage. We've also helped people do presentations for like insurance companies, right? Like in front of insurance companies, teaching all of them how to use content. You can imagine you can do this for any different type of industry. In fact, we're currently working right now on one for a chiropractor space to where we can do content presentations in front of a bunch of chiropractors and get a bunch of them to work with us. So this is the one-to-many presentations way. It could be virtual, it could be in person, but essentially you put something together and you are able to get a bunch of people to want to buy. And so you're making one presentation, one big sales call in front of a bunch of people, and you can get a bunch of them to buy. A combination of all three the right way is what's going to help you get that 7-figure year in 2025. I hope this is valuable for you guys so far, right? Again, we've done each and every single one of these things. We never were able to blend it exactly the way we liked, and it took us a long time to figure this out. So hopefully we are able to shorten the curve for you. All right, and then the last part about going into $1 million year, a 7-figure year, is how do you do the delivery and how do you make sure that you have proper profit margins? So we're gonna use some simple math here just to kind of help you guys understand. But the very first rule of a Milliographer model, the very first rule is that at all times, and you got to be tracking some of this, but at all times, we look to hit a 70% to 90% gross profit model, or just gross profit margins. 70 to 90%. I think it's very, very reasonable. We in 2023 were just under that. In 2024, we were right in between here, right? And the funny part, the cool part is we started messing with the Milliographer model in 2024, and our team actually got so much smaller. To fast forward today, it's just me, my brother, and a few key players that are virtual. And we made just as much revenue as we did in 2023 with a team that was 3-4 times the size, but we drastically increased the profit. And so that's what helped us figure out, okay, well, what if we did the same revenue as we did with a big team, but the same profit as we did with a small team, what would happen? And this is exactly how you hit that. So 70 to 90% gross profit margins. Simple back of napkin. I don't have a napkin around me, but simple back of napkin math states the following. If you invest $1,000, say, into an editor, like a remote editor, right? It could be from the Philippines, it could be something else. And in order to maintain 70 to 90% gross profit margin, that editor needs to be able to fulfill on $4,000 worth of work for you every month. And if you are able to hit these two, then what you're looking at is a 75% profit margin. You charge $4,000 and it costs you $1,000 to fulfill on it. And that's how you're hitting 75% gross profit margin. Now, you take this into accumulation with all of the services and all the things that you offer. So, for example, let's just say you ran a similar model, or you wanted to run the Milliographer model, where you help clients get results and you have some awesome offers where you're actually trying to help businesses grow. And let's just say you also help them out with some social media stuff, not just creating content. Let's just say you invest $1,000 per month. This is just for easy number for an editor. And you have $1,000 per month, let's just say, for a social media manager. So they post for you on clients' behalf and all that type of stuff. And then let's just say you also have $1,000 per month on what we call a direct message manager. So obviously we love DMs and we're very, very good at it, and it's extremely profitable. And so we also help some of our clients with some of that as well. We kind of rent them our team, or we use our team to do that. In short, this equals $3,000 per month. And of course, you may have softwares and things like that, but you just add to that. This $3,000 per month should make you, if you multiply that by 4, $12,000 per month. And if you do that, then you're running 75% profit margins. If you can fulfill on 12K's worth of work and pay 3K to get a lot of the big, heavy, time-consuming things done, you still need to be a business owner, you still need to have the strategy and all that stuff, then you are making 75% profit margin. Oh, let me move my loom here for you guys. Check this out. Boom, right? And then you can just multiply this. This is the math. And so as long as you're always paying attention to how much it's costing and you're paying attention to how much you're getting, then you can always maintain these profit margins. In fact, make them better, right? So you can either spend the same $3,000, but then move up to 15K, and now you're making more profit, or can you spend 2,500 and make the 12,000? Depends on the type of business you want to run, right? But this is doing the delivery model through the Milliographer model with 70 to 90% profit margins. Now, last part about this is just kind of like a little bonus. You guys remember what I talked about with why you want to get your DM system to $4,000 per month? Because if you get your DM system to 4K per month, and you hire a direct message manager for $1,000 per month to run your DMs for you, excuse me, well then you invest 1,000 and you make 4,000. So that's kind of like your editor here and all of these other delivery. But in the marketing world, this is a 4-to-1 ROI, which is absolutely insane. Most people actually don't even hit 4-to-1 ROIs. So if you can do this and you can maintain 70% profit margins, you have an infinitely scalable business. And that's how you do the delivery with the right profit margin. So you just got to have your systems in place to where you can do this. All right, guys, I hope you learned a couple things here. This video is a little bit longer than I thought it was going to be, but now I do want to invite you to take action. So if the Milliographer model was something that sounded really interesting to you, then I'd love to invite you to our private workshop that we have, where it's going to be me plus a couple other cool video business owners who are actually committed to applying this to their business. So we're going to take action and implement. It's going to be on Friday, January 24th, 2025. So it's a week as of the recording of this video. It's going to be a live 90-minute workshop plus a roundtable, meaning I'm going to teach this model and in further detail. So if you thought this was pretty cool, then we go way deeper, right? You're going to have your own fill-in-the-blank workbook. I'll also give you the presentation notes, but that way you'll be able to take notes and apply this to your business. And we'll even hook you up with a post roundtable implementation call with my right-hand man. And that's going to be able to help you not just learn this business model, take notes on it, how you can do it, but have a call after the roundtable. And with my right-hand man, you'll be able to implement this into your business. Okay? Now, as a bonus, I'm actually going to also let you steal my top performing, my top selling agency offer that sells without sales calls. You guys remember we shared how we closed over 100 deals in the DMs with the undercover funnel system? Well, out of all the offers that we sold and all the offers that we helped other people who implemented this system, remember the other video business owners who closed 100 deals together in the last 3 months? That same offer, I'm going to go ahead and give it to you included in this for free. So you'll be able to get all of this right here. You'll be able to have the 90-minute workshop. You'll be able to get the workbook. You'll get the post roundtable implementation call. You'll get to steal our top performing package, and you will be able to lock all that in for a one-time payment of $100. If this sounds valuable to you, there's probably going to be a button below this video with a document with details to the workshop. And if this is interesting to you, I'd love to see you there. If not, I hope you learned something today. I hope you're able to apply some of these things, the sales methods, the delivery plus profit margins, the offers for different sides of the market, the different funnels and how to get into all of them. And this year, not be like Videographer A, but rather go right and be like Videographer B. I look forward to hearing from you soon, and Happy New Year.